Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. What a beautiful day to be alive, and I'm bringing you all the heat from our favorite video game console. We're talking about a big seller, doing something that I don't think you thought it could do, kind of crazy. Ubisoft bringing free games. What will they do for Nintendo? Also, we've got to talk about this sweet, swanky new trailer that's got me dancing. So cool surprise for this fine morning. And the big topic of the day, of course, is a new Switch Pro in 2022. Would you be pissed off or would you be excited? I really want to know your take. And as always, make sure to smash that like button if you enjoy these videos. Let me know your take on all today's topics in the comments down below. And now let's get rolling. Let's kick things off with, I'm sliding away. Sorry. Let's kick things off with this funky new trailer that had me dancing in my chair. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is the spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio, and the game just looks, I don't mean to be reductive, and I don't mean to be one of those youngsters, but it's got a vibe, all right? It really has a vibe. You can feel it in the music, in the graphics, and in the gameplay. And thankfully, this one is coming to Switch first. It was announced last August during an Indie World presentation. We still don't have a date yet, but another new trailer means that the release must be coming closer. This is a skater-style game with a whole lot of pizzazz, and I am pumped to play it, especially since we get to first on Switch. Let me know in the comments down below if you're excited for this one. I think it looks really nifty, and hopefully it's right around the corner. Now, what's right around the corner from Ubisoft is Rainbow Six Extraction. This game was many times delayed, title change, and is finally releasing for $40 on January 20th. No, it's not coming to Switch, but what's interesting here is that Ubisoft did announce today that it's coming to Xbox Game Pass for free day one. And that service is ballooning to be absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was already awesome, and they're starting 2022 off with a bang. Rainbow Six Extraction, Nobody Saves the World, hitting Game Pass in the first month. And we know it will continue with all of Bethesda's titles, bringing so much value to the Xbox owners. And I wonder if Ubisoft could do something like this for Switch. Imagine if Nintendo had a plan in place, if they could elevate their online service to encompass a free game per month type plan. I'm not even advocating for a Game Pass type service because that would require getting so many Goombas in a row. I don't think Nintendo could do it right now. Look how slow they handle classic game releases on NSO. But it would be such a big benefit for subscribers if we were able to secure one free game a month. I think about Mario + Rabbids Sparks of Hope coming out and how exciting that would be for Switch owners if that game was going to be available on Nintendo Switch Online. And I think about the expansion pass and how they offered Happy Home Paradise. They really need to offer some sort of freebie in that form to elevate things and honestly compete with their competitors. The PlayStation offering and the Xbox offering per month for free are pretty great, and Game Pass is becoming unavoidable. Like, if you own an Xbox, you gotta get Game Pass just because the value proposition is impossibly good. Nintendo, please do something of this sort. Notice your competitors and offer something for your $50 expansion pack. It doesn't feel expansive right now, and the way to do that would be by offering some sort of free game, and it definitely won't be Mario + Rabbids Sparks of Hope because Nintendo knows you will pay for games featuring Mario. But as I see more and more awesome titles, big titles, AAA titles, coming to other consoles for free, I really wish that Nintendo would hop on board the train and at least offer us a free indie. I mean, you got Indie World, it lines up just lovely. One game, please? Let me know in the comments down below if you think Nintendo should offer us some free game per month. Any free game per month, even an old game, would that be nice? Would that be nice? You know what's real nice though? And kind of shocking? The success of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Koei Tecmo just announced that the game passed 4 million units sold, and that is a freaking lot for a Zelda game. Yes, this is a spin-off, but you have to consider that the original release of Hyrule Warriors estimated shipped about 1 million. And 4 million is more than Majora's Mask. It's more than the original release of Skyward Sword. It's almost more than the original release of Wind Waker, and now you can see how powerful this combat game was for this franchise. Now, obviously, Breath of the Wild did gangbusters. Nothing comes close in Zelda's lineage, but 4 million compared to the rest of the franchise is pretty solid. And Age of Calamity turned out to be a huge success for Nintendo and Koei Tecmo. It's the most successful Musou game we've seen, and it's definitely not the last we've seen. Now I look at all the other franchises that Nintendo has and I say, what other game is gonna get the Warriors type treatment, right? We know they did Fire Emblem, and we know they've done Hyrule. Xenoblade Warriors, is that coming next? I bet this sales number is going to surge a bit as players get excited for the sequel to the Breath of the Wilds and they want something in that universe. This one's right there, and it's your only opportunity to explore that universe once more before the true successor arrives, hopefully in November. Let me know in the comments down below if you've already picked up and played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, or if you want to play Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. It's a pretty sweet game. All right, gather around, because what we're about to talk about next is gonna be very divisive. The Nintendo Switch Pro owned last summer. All right, the rumors were flying, the reports were coming in hot, and we sure thought we'd get the much awaited, highly coveted 4K Nintendo Switch. And we didn't. Instead, we got OLED. And I love my OLED. In fact, I'm higher now on the OLED than I ever was before because it's the only way I'd want to play Switch now. That screen is just so darn nice. But the Pro is the progressive model that most fans wanted, and we've got Bloomberg still assuring us that that thing is coming. Developers have a 4K Nintendo SKU in hand and are working on the next generation of Nintendo games. We see Microsoft acquiring all sorts of companies and bringing forth a brilliant 2022 exclusive lineup, having the Bethesda titles like Redfall and Starfield, and capturing others on Game Pass, bringing forth titles of their own. Sony just yesterday announced PlayStation VR 2, Horizon Call of the Mountain, looking like an incredible insight into the Horizon world right before we get Horizon Forbidden West coming out next month. They've got titles like God of War Ragnarok that will blow your mind, gameplay and graphics, the perfect combination for the future of this medium. Meanwhile, Nintendo sits there and their games look antiquated. Their games look old and everybody else is advancing forward, and it makes you wonder, when will Nintendo push the button? The button that says, okay, we're ready to compete on the 4K front. And I have to ask you, in 2022, the brand new year in front of us, a beacon of hope and hype games, would you be excited or pissed off if Nintendo announced the Switch Pro for this year? Now, there's a lot of different thoughts here. One, they could go soon because they clearly were prepping something as of late, or maybe with the chip shortage, they decide to wait. But I'm curious about how it would affect you mentality-wise. Do you want Nintendo to launch forward and match their competitors with better visuals, better performance, and more power for more exciting games? Or would that just piss you off, right? You see them splintering their audience and asking you to buy another system when they already have such a huge install base and an awesome library of games. I think it's a really interesting discussion, particularly for Nintendo, because honestly, they're the only platform holder that can get away with this. I think their games and the art styles that they use and choose allow for the graphical fidelity to not be as important as anyone else. Look, if Sony was gonna sit back and say our PlayStation 5 does 1080p, no one would buy that system because nobody wants to play God of War or Ratchet and Clank or Horizon or any of these titles like Uncharted, The Last of Us, or many more in a lower resolution. Xbox, nobody wants to see Halo Infinite not running at super smooth 120 hertz. Nobody wants to play Forza Horizon 5 without the 4K uptick, but Nintendo can get by. Mario and Zelda don't succeed because of their graphical prowess, they instead succeed because of their gameplay greatness. So would you be okay with another year or two of the Switch as it is? Do you feel like Nintendo should focus on the games for the here and now, or should they look ahead? Inevitably, they will look ahead, right? There is a next Switch coming, whether it's called the Switch Pro, the 4K Switch, the Switch 2, the Switcheroo, I don't know. But that is inevitable. It just depends when they want to release it. I think Nintendo could release the Switch Pro in 2022 or 2023 and be super successful. But I think they need to do so in one of these 2 years. If we get to 2024 and we're cruising into the main cream of the crop for PS5 and Xbox Series X, it will feel massive, the gap between Nintendo and their competitors. Right now, it's still early. There's shortages across the world. It's easy to just say, okay, Nintendo's not there yet. But once we've seen these great looking games for 2-3 years, I think it's going to wear on the overall industry, the developers, and the fan base. Because you also have to consider the third-party side of things. How many developers want to develop for an old Switch SKU versus keeping everything more succinct and in line, 4K across the board? I personally love the idea of new hardware, but given how much we know about Nintendo's lineup this year, I think 2022 is a year where you can just cash in on the insane install base that you already have. There's no way a 4K system comes out before we see Kirby and Splatoon and Pokemon and probably Breath of the Wild advance to their next iterations and hopefully evolutions. Why splinter? And they might not even splinter, it probably would play backwards compatible just like Xbox does. And at that point, well, maybe you can bring it out. And that's the other train of thought, is that, hey, Zelda's the perfect time to bring it out because in fact, it would just encourage more sales. If they asked you, you can play Breath of the Wild 2 on your Switch or a 4K Switch where Hyrule is gonna just glitz all over the screen and you're gonna get draw distances to Ganon's Fort and back. You're gonna see the beauty of this world better than ever before. I bet you would be tempted. They've done that with recent Zeldas where they crossed them over, right? Multiple Zeldas have seen this happen, and so will they use Breath of the Wild 2 once again to dip into another Switch cycle? As long as they don't try to split the audience, as long as they allow for backwards compatibility, I'm for it. I don't think it's necessary, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo decides to utilize Zelda as a way to up the ante. Now, we've heard rumors about Mario Kart, a new 3D Mario, Metroid Prime 4, obviously, in the future. Those sound like freaking great titles to launch into a new system. Now, alongside the OLED, they had Metroid Dread. It's my game of the year on Nintendo Switch, don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenal title, but that is not the massive mover that you would need in order to launch a major new system. Zelda, Mario, Mario Kart. Those are the names that you can associate with a system seller and with a new, exciting launch. Those games are apparently coming, and I think a new console is coming as well, although I'd probably lean towards 2023. I wouldn't be pissed this year, but I know I'm unique, right? I'm the Good Morning Mario guy. I gotta get everything and cover it for you and share it with everybody and make sure we help everyone decide what's worth buying and what's not worth buying, but for you. And I try to put myself in your shoes. Would I rather spend my money this year on games or on a new system? And I gotta say, for me, let me know what you think and how you feel. I would rather spend my money on new games. I don't know that I'd personally be pissed, although I know a lot of you would feel a bit affronted if Nintendo just dropped another new model after just releasing a new model. Heck, you might have saved up for an OLED and now they're introducing something bigger and better. Look, I think at the end of the day, getting Splatoon and Zelda and Pokemon and Kirby and whatever else surprise comes your way, it's a much better use of your $300-400 than a new system that plays the same thing but a bit prettier. But there is a small part of me that just wants to see what Nintendo could do with the extra oomph. We see how grand these games look on PlayStation 5, and Xbox are really asserting themselves with the Series X. What could Nintendo do in, say, Mario Kart next gen, 4K, with a freaking more powerful system? That would be fun, wouldn't it? You have to admit, it's exciting. It might be a little upsetting, but it's also exciting. So please let me know in the comments down below where you fall. Do you want to see a Switch Pro in 2022? Or do you want Nintendo to hold off? Their games are fine. They've got an excellent lineup. They just popped the OLED. Give it some time. Give me your take in the comments down below. I'm gonna be reading them, and I wanna see where our audience and our community falls. The good news is, I know where you fall on toast, because that is the community poll of the day. Everybody in our family votes on these every weekday evening on the community tab. If you're not voting, get over there and vote. I wanna hear what you think. Today I asked, what's the best thing to put on toast? Sometimes we just gotta tell it like it is. And everybody wants some butter. 42% pick just butter. I hope you're putting some salt on that, although I guess butter with eggs or maybe some other sausage, bacon, something of the sort is pretty good. It's a more neutral flavor. 19%, like me, pick jam or jelly, but I do butter and jam jelly, so I kind of mix the two. I do the butter, give it that extra oomph, like a 4K boost to my toast with that strawberry jelly on top. Tastes so good. Sometimes I actually do almond butter and jelly on top of that for some protein with my punch. 17% did pick PB or any other nut butter. 13% said cinnamon sugar, which is a more desserty type of toast slice. And then 10% of you going the healthy route, hoisting up the avocado, which I approve. I love my avocado toast. I just don't really make it at home. That's more of like a thing I get if I ever go out to get breakfast, which is never in today's current climate. So yeah, I do like all of these. I'm a big toast guy. I love toast. Make me some toast and we can be friends. We're obviously already friends though, so make me some toast and I'll give you a high five and I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button on your way out. Make sure you're staying safe, staying healthy, staying happy, staying positive out there. I appreciate all of you so much. I'm sliding in my chair. I need to get some floor pads so I'm not just kind of moving all around. I'm like holding with my toes. My toes are gripping the floor. I'll be back tomorrow with more gripping action and more Nintendo news. Thank you for watching. I love you a lot. Until next time, SwitchForce out.